Dollar Tree beat expectations in its second quarter with strong revenue growth and improved same-store sales. It even raised full-year guidance. Joining us to talk some more about this is Anthony Chukumba, Loop Capital Markets. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so despite the beat, shares were still moving down. Why do you think that is?
I think that it really was the fact that it was a pretty messy quarter. So, for example, the beat was pretty significant relative to consensus, but 20 cents of that was essentially a tariff benefit, and that is going to reverse itself in the third quarter. In addition to that, they brought down their guidance for gross margin. They brought down their guidance for their transition services agreement revenue for the transition services they'll be doing for Family Dollar. But more than anything, it just was a messy quarter, and I think investors are just tired of messy quarters from this company.
Tell me about the transition.
So if you recall, they sold the Family Dollar to a private equity firm, but there are some services that they'll be providing to Family Dollar until, essentially Family Dollar can completely separate. And there's income that's associated with that. So they guided to that when they reported first quarter results. That was the first time that they reported since Family Dollar had been sold. And then they brought that guidance down for this quarter. Now, at the end of the day, look, it's essentially almost like a non-recurring item, right? In other words, at some point, Family Dollar will be completely separate from them, and investors won't really care because they won't be reporting it. But it's just, like I said, it's just messy, and investors want clean. They don't want messy.
How are they doing on growth of stores? Dollarama, we know, is sort of sprouting up everywhere. What about Dollar Tree?
Dollar Tree is planning on opening about 400 stores this year in the U.S. So that's pretty decent square footage growth. Certainly now that they have sold Family Dollar, they will probably accelerate their new store openings because that distraction, that albatross will be gone. There certainly is additional square footage growth opportunity for Dollar Tree here in the U.S.
Okay, can you expand for me on what they're saying about the guidance for the next quarter?
Yeah, so basically what they said was that, like I said, there was this 20-cent tariff benefit in the second quarter that will reverse in the third quarter. So essentially be a 20-cent headwind. And so essentially what they're saying is, including that headwind, they're saying that earnings are going to be essentially flat year over year, and that was below consensus. And so, if you kind of put the two quarters together, obviously it kind of nets out. But like I said, investors they don't want to have to do the mental math, right? They just want clean, beat and raise type stories. And that's just not what Dollar Tree is right now, even though the underlying fundamentals in a lot of ways are quite encouraging.
Okay, so they're at 101, down more than 9% today, $101.02, losing $10.30 on the NASDAQ. But you have raised your price target for Dollar Tree, but yet you're saying you're calling it a hold right now. So explain what your strategy is behind that.
Right. So when I look at the current valuation, they're trading about 16 times my revised 2026 EPS estimate. That's pretty much in line with the long-term historical average. And so while on the one hand, I am very, very encouraged that they sold Family Dollar, and quite frankly, I still can't believe they got $1 billion for it. I think they would have been happy with a bag of magic beans, and they can now focus on the core Dollar Tree business. It still is somewhat of a show me story. And that's why I think that historical average long-term multiple is the right valuation at this time.
They also are adding more high-income customers. So what do they consider high income, and how meaningful is this for this company?
Sure. So they consider high income individuals with household incomes of $100,000 or more. And they said that contributed significantly to their growth in the second quarter. It's interesting because we're seeing and hearing that from a lot of U.S. retailers. Dollar General said similar things. Ollie's Bargain Outlet said similar things. Five Below said similar things. And so, look, the macroeconomic environment here in the U.S., it's still quite uncertain. And so you are seeing individuals who are looking to save some money, and they certainly know they can do that at Dollar Tree. So that's certainly a positive, certainly a tailwind for them right now.
Okay, so who are the other competitors you would put in this space? We talked about Dollarama, but would sort of Walmart and Target also go into this category?
I mean, to some extent, everyone's a competitor, right? But I mean, look, I think the beauty of the Dollar Tree concept is that the vast majority of what they sell, and they have added some higher price point items, right? But the vast majority of what they sell is $1.25. As a matter of fact, they said 85% of their assortment is $2 or less. And so, and a lot of it, it's almost like add-on purchases, right? In other words, you go to a strip mall that's anchored by a Walmart, that's anchored by a Target, that's anchored by a big supermarket like a Kroger's, for example. You pick up all the things there, but then you go to Dollar Tree for a treasure hunt, right? Or to pick up low-priced party supplies, things of that nature. So to some extent, they almost feed off of the traffic of a lot of their competitors. They don't necessarily compete as much with them directly because at the end of the day, the vast majority of what they sell is $1.25.
Okay, so is there something specific that they do well, or is it just the fact that you're going to walk in and it's $1.25 pretty much across the board?
So I think it's the $1.25 price point. It's also the treasure hunt environment, that exciting environment. And a lot of it is, it's just a wow, right? Like, I can't believe I can buy, a nice spatula for $1.25, or some nice dinner plates for $1.25, or glassware for $1.25. It really is, a lot of it is that wow factor.
Got it. All right, Anthony Chukumba, appreciate you joining us on this. Anthony's with Loop Capital Markets. Thanks for your time.